What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blueblood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have some very, very interesting news. Or should I say, I have some interesting news. The promotion, after now undisputed super middleweight world champion, 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez, he defeated former IBF super middleweight world champion superstar boxer Caleb Sweethand Plant to become undisputed. He created history 2 times over. He became the first Mexican-born fighter to hold all 4 major sanctioned belts and the Ring magazine, and he became the first undisputed super middleweight 168-pounder in the history of the sport of boxing, as well as becoming only the 6th fighter in history of the sport of boxing, male, that is, to hold all 4 major sanction belts and the Ring magazine belt, okay? The other 5 fighters are Josh Taylor, Terrence Crawford, Alexander Usyk, Bernard Hopkins, James Taylor, Taylor, okay? So with that said, everybody wants to know what's the next move for Canelo Alvarez, okay? And everybody's starting to speculate. Well, undefeated 2-time super middleweight WBC world champion Mexican superstar boxer David Benavidez is on deck. David Benavidez has a fight coming up against Kyron Davis this upcoming Saturday. With that said, after David Benavidez, should he be victorious, especially in spectacular fashion, they're going to begin the promotion of Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez. Canelo Alvarez now 57 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He is 31 years of age, standing 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. With that said, David Benavidez is going into a replacement fight because he initially was supposed to fight former super middleweight world champion Jose Uzcategui, but now David Benavidez, because Jose Uzcategui tested positive for a banned substance, David Benavidez is going to fight Kyron Davis as a replacement opponent for this fight. The weigh-in for this fight is tomorrow. David Benavidez, 24 wins, no losses, no draws, 21 big wins by way of knockout, 24 years of age, stands at 6'1" with a 75-inch arm reach, okay? He's facing off against Kyron Davis, 16 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 6 wins by way of knockout, 27 years of age, 5'10" with a 73-inch arm reach. Kyron Davis is a pure boxer. In his last 2 fights prior, he fought Anthony Durrell and lost. They fought to a draw. And, many people thought Kyron Davis won that fight. Anthony Durrell is nothing to sneeze at. 33 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. Anthony Durrell, former 2-time world champion. So he's a, very, very credible foe, that being Anthony Durrell. But David Benavidez, he already stopped Anthony Durrell, okay? And he re-won his title back, stopping Anthony Durrell. So with that said, they're going to now replay the pay-per-view between Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez. Now, it did a reported 800,000 pay-per-view buys, right? So that's a big deal. If you pay attention to the last couple of pay-per-view events, Deontay Wilder, Manny Pacquiao, Yordenis Ugas, Gervonta Tank Davis, they haven't been replaying the fights before the next week. Usually, you get the pay-per-view event, then the following Saturday after the pay-per-view event is always a fight the following Saturday, and that is a fight where the same network that aired the pay-per-view, or if it's a joint network, in this case, with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, it was ESPN and PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, Manny Pacquiao, Yordenis Ugas. You get the following week, the following fight, they always air the pay-per-view event free before the main event starts of the following fight, okay? Or at least before the card starts. And if you pay attention, the last few pay-per-view events, they have not been airing the pay-per-view fights on the following card, the following Saturday fights, okay? They have not been doing that. And here we have a situation where they're going to do it. For one, obviously, they want to convince Canelo Alvarez that PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, is where he wants to be with Showtime and Fox. And Canelo Alvarez, he already stated that he's very, very comfortable and felt very welcoming to be with the PBC, okay, and back on Showtime, okay, and back on pay-per-view. So with that said, he was last on pay-per-view in 2018 when he fought Triple G in a rematch on HBO. Now he's on pay-per-view, and they're going to air the fight. And should David Benavidez look spectacular, you can expect, as I told you guys, May 7th, Cinco de Mayo weekend, you're going to get David Benavidez against Canelo Alvarez. And after this fight, David Benavidez's focus is solely going to be on Canelo Alvarez. Not just because he wants this fight, but because they're already going to start to promote and build the fight. Okay? Listen to what I'm telling you. David Benavidez wins this fight against Kyron Davis in dramatic fashion, in spectacular fashion. He's going to start to build and promote the fight between Canelo Alvarez and himself. Don't be surprised to see an interview with Canelo Alvarez, whether that be via Skype or, he may not be there in person. I highly doubt if he's there in person. But don't be surprised to see Canelo Alvarez in some sort of interview at some point in time during this fight. Okay? And they're going to ask Canelo Alvarez about fighting David Benavidez if he agrees to this. Now, there's a chance he may not do an interview. But don't be surprised to see him do an interview. And don't be surprised if they're asking him what he thinks of David Benavidez. Okay? Again, after the fight, David Benavidez is going to call out Canelo Alvarez. Again, we know that David Benavidez, he already hints at, he wants Canelo Alvarez, Jamal Charlo, so on and so forth. His sole focus and the sole direction is going to be David Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez. They're going to look to build this fight and start to promote the fight. And they want to gauge the temperature of the fans and see just how many people want to see this fight. Now, we know Canelo Alvarez is on record saying that he's not interested in fighting Mexican descent fighters moving forward. But if he's in a position where he has no choice or it's a very big fight, then he will accept it because it's still business at the end of the day. We know David Benavidez, he feels that Canelo Alvarez has been avoiding him. He stated when he was WBC champion both times, Canelo Alvarez showed little to no interest in fighting him. As we know, as soon as he lost his belt on the scale, Canelo Alvarez immediately petitioned for the WBC World Boxing Council title with President Mauricio Suleiman and 32 board members to fight Avni Yildirim, his former sparring partner, for the vacant WBC title. And 31 of the 32 board members reportedly agreed that Canelo Alvarez should be able to fight for the title. But his promoter at the time, Golden Boy Promotions, with legendary Hall of Fame retired fighter, Olympic gold medalist Oscar De La Hoya, and Golden Boy Promotions, who was promoting Canelo Alvarez, they disagreed. They didn't want to put up the money, neither did DAZN, for Canelo Alvarez to fight Avni Yildirim for the vacant WBC title. He then found himself in a legal situation where he bought his way out of the contract with Golden Boy and became his own free agent. Thus the reason he went back to DAZN, but did his own deal with DAZN fight-by-fight basis, and he did the fight with Caleb Plant on Showtime in the PBC, as I told you guys he would. Okay? And now he's going to look to do business with them at least once more. Remember, the initial negotiations with Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez and his team stated that they wanted Canelo Alvarez to sign a multi-year fight deal to get a fight with Caleb Plant, and he was not on board with that. But now he feels like they rolled out the red carpet for him. Okay, his pay-per-view numbers are successful. The promotion of the fight was successful. Okay, he's undisputed. They gave him big money for this fight. So now you can expect Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez to take place. So now Canelo Alvarez, he beats David Benavidez. They can officially say Canelo Alvarez cleaned out the super middleweight division. He fought all the best fighters at super middleweight and completely cleaned it out. Okay? And with that said, the next piece to the puzzle is David Benavidez. Because, for one, it'll be history made 2 times over should David Benavidez win this fight. David Benavidez is a Mexican fighter as well. So he will become the second-born Mexican fighter to hold all 4 major sanction belts. So history will be made. And it's either the passing of the torch or it's going to be a continuation of greatness in Canelo Alvarez's favor. I personally think it would be continuation of greatness in Canelo Alvarez's favor because I just think that David Benavidez lacks in the defense department. I don't believe that he's defensively responsible. He does have very fast hands. He does have power. And, you know, he has a very sturdy chin. But I don't believe that he can stand up to what Canelo Alvarez's accuracy, his combinations, his high ring IQ, and he's going to be mobile in this fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But May 7th, Cinco de Mayo weekend, expect to see Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez. Expect to see it. So now we know eventually should Canelo Alvarez win this fight, there's talks of Canelo Alvarez versus Jamal Charlo. Cinco de Mayo weekend is the biggest weekend in Mexican history. That and the second week in September, Mexican Independence Day weekend. Now I can see if Canelo Alvarez beats David Benavidez, if he still wants to stick around and defend his titles once more, Mexican Independence Day weekend fights Jamal Charlo in September. I could see that possibility. But as it stands in May, expect to see Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez, May 7th, Cinco de Mayo weekend. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Hey, this is Ebony Bridges, Blonde Bomber, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.